Hey CFB, Ms. Fisher here. Today we're going to discuss how to get access to financial aid, including the different types of financial aid applications and the information you need to complete them. Let's get started. There are many ways to be awarded financial aid. Most colleges will require a student to fill out federal or state financial aid application. This allows the institution to compare the cost of attendance with the family's income. This is the basis of how students are awarded need-based aid and part of what makes up a student's total financial aid package. Oftentimes, your financial aid application is the gateway to scholarships and grants offered by the university, which is called institutional aid. This is because a complete financial aid package sometimes isn't offered until your financial aid application has been received. Since the financial aid application is the gateway to money for college, let's discuss the different types of financial aid applications and how to know which one is for you. In the previous slides, we discussed that most colleges will require a student to fill out a financial aid application. In the state of Texas, there are two types of applications: the FAFSA, or the free application for federal student aid, and the TASFA, the Texas application for state financial aid. The FAFSA allows an eligible student to be considered for both federal and state financial aid. It should be completed by any student that is a U.S. citizen or a documented resident of the U.S. The TASFA is available to students who are non-U.S. citizens, have DACA status, or are undocumented students but have lived in the state of Texas for 3 years prior to enrolling in college. These students are eligible for state financial aid. Next, we'll look at a visual to help you determine which application you should fill out and why. When thinking about whether you should fill out FAFSA or TASFA, the important thing to remember is that the application is based off you, the student's residency status. If you look at the table, parents and students can fall into 3 different categories. 1, parent and student are documented U.S. residents. 2, the student is a documented U.S. resident, but the parent is not. And 3, both the parent and the student are undocumented U.S. residents. If you are a U.S. citizen or documented resident, you will complete the FAFSA. If you are an undocumented resident, then you will complete the TASFA. Remember from the previous lessons that if you are completing the FAFSA, you must create an FSA ID to submit your application. Also, if your parents or parent is a documented citizen, then one of them must complete an FSA ID as well. Next, we're going to discuss general information about financial aid applications. While there are separate applications for federal and state aid, for the most part, they are used the same way. The applications are free to complete and are used by most universities to determine how much financial aid should be awarded. Both applications will be available on October 1st to award financial aid for the 2021-2022 school year. Other important things to know is that some aid is distributed on a first-come, first-served basis, meaning that once a student has applied and been accepted, some aid will be distributed to students based on date of acceptance and receipt of financial aid application. In addition, be aware of state, federal, and institutional deadlines for both merit-based applications and need-based aid. This information can be found on individual institution websites. In order to complete financial aid application, you and your parents are going to need some information. Let's go over what you need. The documents needed to complete a financial aid application include your 2019 income tax returns for both you and your parents if you filed, checking and savings account totals, net worth of investments including rental portions of an owned home, the total amount of other untaxed income, for example, child support, and demographic information, including your Social Security number, if it's available. We will discuss in a later video how to complete your financial aid application. For now, let's go over the steps needed to submit your application. One of the major differences between the FAFSA and TASFA is how they are completed and submitted. The FAFSA, or federal application, is completed online and signed with an electronic signature called an FSA ID. You can select up to 10 schools to send the FAFSA to during the first submission. If additional schools are needed, once the FAFSA has been processed, it can be amended to send to additional schools. Once you submit the application and the signatures are received, your financial information will automatically be sent to the universities you selected. Remember that you as the student must sign with the FSA ID. If the parent is a U.S. resident, then they must also sign electronically with an FSA ID. If not, they will sign a barcoded paper signature page and mail it in. The TASFA must be completed as a paper copy or PDF and signed by hand by both the student and the parent. After it is complete, you will need to make copies and send it to each school in the state of Texas where you applied. Additionally, the state aid priority deadline is December 1st. If you are only eligible for state aid, you will receive the most financial assistance by being accepted and submitting your financial aid application before the December 1st deadline. Each high school campus will be hosting their own financial aid night. Please listen to the announcements to find out what date your campus will be hosting theirs. Also, check your local campus for additional information. In addition to your campus nights, the CCMR department will host 8 financial aid nights to help assist in completing the application. The dates and campuses are listed here. Anyone is eligible to attend these events. However, due to social distancing, it is possible that space may be limited. In addition to this presentation, you should have a link that gives you access to a handout of all the information you are going to need to complete your financial aid application. Although the handout says FAFSA, the same information will be needed in order to complete the TASFA as well. Remember that most times financial aid is awarded on a first-come, first-served basis. But the first step in the process is completing and submitting your college application and getting accepted. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact the counselor or the CCMR dean on your campus. Follow us on Insta, Twitter, and all videos are available on the YouTube channel. Make it a great day.